another topic within the subject of posture is also stance. I find that stance is very seldom, talked about in violin studios. It is talked about a bit, but very, very seldom. In my opinion, not enough. So by stance, I mean, obviously how we're standing, right? It could mean our feet. It could mean everything, like all the way up to our heads, right? Like how are we carrying ourselves when we are playing? How are the shoulders, right? How is the back aligned, right? And mainly, how is our weight distributed? So, are we leaning more of our weight on our right foot? Are we leaning more of our weight on our left foot? Are we exactly in the center? Are our knees locked? Are they bent, right? So, all these things are really interesting to study because, bottom line is, violin is a very, very challenging instrument. And because of the demands, the technical demands, we often, have tension somewhere because we're concentrating so hard and we're really trying our best and we have to be so accurate, right? We're striving for perfection at all times, right? Especially if you're a high level player. And so, we have certain, idiosyncrasies in our playing that is very unique to each one of us. And so, maybe we get to difficult passage and we start to, lean down, like our scroll starts to go down and our weight is on the left side. That's a very common habit I see among many players. I did a study where I was kind of, looking at many of the famous violinists over the century. And I was curious to see, where their weight is just, how their weight is distributed. And when they get to difficult passages, what do they do? With the movement of the bow, right? Does their weight shift in a coordinated manner, right? For example, when we go out to the tip, right, of our bow, my arm is now extended out and therefore my center of gravity has shifted. So is the player's weight more on their right foot when they're, out at the tip, and when they go on an up bow, does the center of gravity shift, and do they also shift their weight accordingly? Even breathing often is coordinated with the bow, right? Sometimes it's nice to exhale on a down bow, right, and inhale on an up bow. Shifts, like big shifts going upward, shifts coming downward. I mean, there are so many things, so many facets to this topic. So something to consider. Just want you to start, building your awareness. When you're practicing, what do you do, right? Do you stand more on your, put the weight more on your right foot, on your left foot? Is one hip sort of, jutting out, or the other hip sort of jutting out? These are really good things to consider. If you're practicing sitting down all the time, if you have a health condition, of course, you need to do that. But if you don't, then you should be standing when you're practicing for most of the time, all right? Standing practicing is really the best way, because usually if you're a serious player and you're performing, obviously we're standing when we're performing. So what I do is I stand when I'm practicing, and then after I get a bit tired, because my back gets tired and I have a bit of pain, then I sit down, but I still make sure I feel like I'm standing, even though when I'm sitting down I stay very upright, like as if I were standing, and I just do it for a little bit and then I go back to standing again. Of course, everybody has their off days, so when you're just really tired, it's fine to sit, but most of the time you should be, trying to practice standing. So, find out. But even now, as I sit, I can kind of, lean my weight this way. So we probably do some of the similar things when we're sitting down as when we're standing. So just some things to think about. I did a couple of experiments in studio class while I was teaching at the university. I had studio class. And I had some of my students who have particularly, high tension levels when they're playing. play the piece that they're working on now, which means it's pretty difficult because it's their current piece. And I had them stand in a way that's different from the way that they normally stand. If you tend to lean on your right foot, then you have to lean on your left foot. Just small things. If you tend to hunch over, you have to, stand a bit more, like just for temporary, way more upright, right? Just for like a couple minutes. And then try to play the difficult part in your passage like that. And many times it's so difficult that the person can't even play their passage properly. So that tells me, why do I do that? Not to torture them for fun, okay? But why do I do that? Because I want to see if they have, rehearsed that tense activity with the passage they're playing, so that in order to play their passage, they have to do that tense thing. I hope that makes sense. So if you have ultimate freedom and you're not being, locked down and kind of, become a slave to your certain, tension, and tension habits, then you can still play the passage no matter what you do. So often you'll see, if I have a student who's kind of getting ready for a performance, I might go up there while they're playing a really difficult passage in the concerto. I might go up there and start swinging their elbow, or tapping their shoulder, or kind of making them do certain things, or checking or telling them to lift their head off the violin during the passage, right? All these things just to see, right, if the things that they are playing in their piece are independent of certain postural, habits. And it's just little by little, you think about it, you try it, you introduce it, try these things out, and you're going to gain awareness, and you're going to free yourself of certain, habits. So, some really common ones are like the ones I said, like, leaning on certain foot, or bending over, or hunching certain way, or even the head is, certain way in an abnormal, position. Or a lot of things that have to do with the arms, like is your elbow super high, and you feel like you need to get power that way for your bow, or is your thumb clenching down, or is your are you pressing your fingers down too hard? Are you squeezing right here, this joint? Are you squeezing this forward? Are you pressing and squeezing the shoulder upward? Are you clenching your teeth? And you start to get a jaw and a toothache. After you practice. These are all very common things that I have seen and or experienced myself. So just a few things to think about.